Hello. So I've spent pretty much my entire career helping teams design actual software instead of pictures of software. I've spent a long time helping teams kind of move things into code and to build front end development into the design process because in order to actually successfully design experiences for the web, you actually need to get into the web medium, right? In order to be confronted by the limitations and the quirks, as well as take advantage of all the great opportunities that the browser provides, right? So what's unfortunate is that so many of our design processes still follow this very sort of waterfall or linear process where designers go off and they do this thing and then eventually they hand it off to developers. And it stinks that all these years later, that process has kind of calcified and continues to, I think, reinforce really bad practices, right? So, in order to really successfully design for a medium, we need to actually get in and work with the grain of the medium, right? So I talk about this in atomic design, right? Things like flexibility, true responsive behavior, the impact of the network and performance is a core part of the design user experience, right? True interactivity, motion, ergonomics, and like how a person holds something, a device in their hand, how sort of color, text, and pixel density kind of renders things like on across different browsers, across different operating systems, across different devices, right? All to say, in order to successfully design for the web medium, we need to actually get in there, right? Which shouldn't be that hard of a thing to do, but our processes don't uphold that, and we don't do that, right? So I've long since been a big fan of prototyping. My buddy Dave Rupert does a lot of really great thinking, writing, speaking on prototyping as well. And, has this, I think it was kind of through him, this old sort of IDEO adage of, a prototype is worth a thousand meetings. And I've been in many of those meetings where while people are sort of going back and forth and articulating, saying, well, what about this or what about this, we're just kind of behind the scenes kind of building the thing and then show our screen and people think that you're a wizard, and it's truly incredible. So it's problematic though because HTML, CSS, JavaScript historically has been kind of prohibitive for non-technical people to pick up. And again, our organizational structures and our design organizations and cultures don't often sort of give us the ability to get into the browser faster and make this a part of our design workflow, right? So what I want to do in this video is to really sort of demonstrate how this new crop of LLM tools really helps supercharge this idea of HTML prototyping and helps even non-developers articulate ideas in code quite easily and get things a lot further down the line. Now, it's worth stating that I'm not suggesting that tools like Figma are worthless, but what I am suggesting is that these tools and the ability to actually sort of build a working prototype of a thing so tremendously powerful and really critical to creating experiences that actually work, not just like hypothetically like look good, right? So what I want to do is to demonstrate an idea that I've had in my head for a while. Once upon a time, I was on Twitter, and I'm a musician, and I used to sort of, share the different sort of songs that I would play along to. But I'd also solicit song requests, right? Just, hey, I'm on my lunch break. What song should I play on my lunch break? And would just kind of share the recordings of me kind of playing along with them. It was a lot of fun, continues to be a lot of fun. But unfortunately, since Twitter imploded and everyone scattered to the wind, I had this idea in my head of like, well, it'd be great for me to sort of create this kind of like song request, this type of experience to be able to sort of capture it and sort of share it on my own website and sort of like share it with other people on whatever social media networks they're on, right? So what I want to do is create this experience, And I could fire up Figma. I could go and create this actual experience, and sort of go away and create some artboards and create some rectangles and stuff. But with this new crop of tools like Claude right here, we're able to just say, create a web page in HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript, right? For a song request experience, right? People can request a song for me to play along with. And I'm just going to sort of stop there. There's obviously like a lot of like details that I can do, but just what I want to do is just sort of demonstrate just how powerful these things are at interpreting this language and just sort of taking a stab at creating this experience. Okay, so song request page, song name, artist name, additional notes, submit requests, right? And then with a current requests kind of list. Not bad at all, right? Like this is like a fantastic breakdown of what's going on here. Claude has this really cool thing where you could kind of preview the code and then also sort of peek under the hood to see what's going on. And you could see some, pretty stock, just, okay, here's some CSS tags. Here's this stuff. It at least gets the attributes and connecting the labels for the inputs and stuff like that. Required. Okay. Button, submit. And then there's some basic stuff here, right? So we kind of have this, you could see some JavaScript stuff going on here. Oh wait, whoops. I accidentally hit, can you explain this section in more detail? And it did so. Okay. Well, that's nice. Thank you, Claude. All right. So this is a great first pass at like literally just giving it one sentence of instruction. So let's refine this a little bit. This is a great start. Here are a few tweaks, right? So what I want to do is song name, artist name, that sounds right, and remove additional notes. And I want to instead add your name and your social link fields, right? Social link field should have, e.g. Mastodon, Threads, X, etc. as the placeholder, right? And I want to sort of say, show a demo list of 6, well, let's say 10 songs of current requests. So let's kind of start there, right? So we're going to sort of remove some of these things. We're going to add some of these things. What I've been finding really helpful with this process is that I've been able to, even though I can code this stuff, like I've been finding it to be I've been able to sort of get into like a flow state a lot more, and rather than sort of going, okay, got to go over here, got to copy and paste these things, am I writing the styles right, and so on and so forth. I'm just able to sort of focus on the product experience, the actual sort of result, rather than sort of what's going on under the hood. Okay, so here we go. So we got song request page. So it updated the fields. That all looks really good. That's fantastic. Submit requests. And then, like I asked, current requests, right? Okay, and they did a pretty dang good job, right? Imagine by John Lennon, etc., etc. Fantastic. Pick some pretty good ones. Purple Rain, nice. I would totally play Purple Rain. So you could kind of see, right? Here's all of these. Like it did a really good job at sort of weaving in, right, those form fields into the results. That's fantastic. So I want to kind of add another feature. Fantastic, thanks. Can we add an upvote feature to the song list. So people can +1 a suggestion, right? So let's kind of see what that looks like, right? So it's gonna kind of create that experience. It's gonna probably write some styles for that. Yep, upvote button, there's the styles for that. The form remains the same. Here's our demo songs. There's just a nice little JSON array, right? You can see a little thumb emoji. Oh, look at that. And look, this works, right? This is functioning, right? Okay, so I can like add like upvotes to this. Fantastic, right? So, okay, great. A few more things. People should be limited to upvoting a song only once, right? And then I also want to add, so now I'm thinking not just like the request page, but like what's the experience look like for when I actually do get around to like playing this song, right? What I want to do is kind of have like a list, or like, you know, kind of like create a, you know, past, it shouldn't be called past requests. It should be called like, create a new section for songs I've played. It should include a YouTube embed, right? The song artist submitter info. What else? As well as the date added. So let's give that a shot, right? So while this is doing this, I think that like, just to kind of like sum up, I hope that this experience is showing you just like how quick and immediate this stuff is, and that in order to kind of like take this from just kind of a Claude window into a working product, I could kind of show you what that looks like next. But you could see like just how visceral and immediate this is, right? So it's like, okay, so we got song request page, song name, artist name, your name, social link, all of that stays the same. Here's the current request. They kind of shrunk that down. And then you could also kind of see, okay, it is actually sort of created these kind of like played songs section here, and requested by this. You should probably also maybe add like the upvote functionality here. But so here's where it's like, okay, this is all well and good, right? This is all inside of this sort of LLM. I could sort of come over here and copy and paste this code. I think that one of the other things that I want to demonstrate, though, and just how incredibly powerful these tools are, is that, great, so this is a little bit like at arm's length, and this could be really, really great for non-technical people to just be able to be like, here's this thought that's in my head, here's an accompaniment to our Figma comp or whatever, or here's like this idea or this product idea articulated in the form of actual sort of working software. But what we could do from here, which is really exciting, and this is, it kind of crosses the threshold into like, well, is this actually useful for developers, or like how can we actually kind of work with this output in a more meaningful way? There's a tool called Cursor. Just started playing around with it, and basically what it is a fork of VS Code that kind of incorporates these models into the editor themselves. And what's cool about this is now I can kind of take this and deconstruct it, and I'm just going to do basic kind of style.css, right? Index.html for this stuff. And then for my JavaScript, I'm going to have script.html. Now I could come in here the same way I would with a just kind of a normal thing, right? So to create index.html, okay, I could do that, no problem. But I could also do it a different way as well. If I do Command K on my Mac here, and I could say create index.html that links up style.css and script.js, right? So let's just like kind of see what that does, right? Okay, so I kind of created, here's my style.css, here's my script.js, right? And I can accept that, right? So it kind of is cool because it gives you this diff going on here. So now this says like, oh, welcome to my web page, basic thing. Okay, cool. So now what I could do is I'm just going to sort of go ahead in the old-fashioned way, create style.css, right? And what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of copy this in here. So I'm kind of like getting this out of the kind of Claude window experience and bring this into an actual kind of project experience, right? So I'm going to sort of nuke the stuff that they did. Also going to move the script up to the top and sort of give this a defer, right? It's gotten some nice autocomplete kind of stuff. And then the last thing I need is a script tag, right? So I could kind of come in here, right? I can sort of ask it to create me this file, right? So I could say, hey, create the script file. Again, I'm just going to kind of come in, do it the old-fashioned way here. And now from here, what I should be able to do, reveal in Finder, and then kind of open this in the browser. Okay, so now we have this thing kind of set up locally. So now I can, you know, change this stuff to my heart's content. And what's nice about this is we now have that kind of like side-by-side view, right, that we're all sort of used to. So if I wanted to change this to salmon, okay, cool, done, right? So now here's what's kind of cool here, right? So now I'm gonna just kind of change that back. So what I want to do is I want to kind of give some instructions. So there's this chat experience here. You could say, all right, I want to sort of add context, and I could ask it anything. And let me sort of zoom in here. So what I want to say is I want to use open props for the styling. So let's just kind of see what this gives us. So open props, while it's sort of doing its thing, I will show what open props is these supercharged CSS variables. This is created by Adam Argyle, but it's just like, here are these, you know, really nice looking sort of CSS values, CSS variables that you can kind of just like drop into your project, right? So what it's doing, so it's like, okay, you can install it. I don't want to install it, or use the CDN. Okay. All right. So it's kind of giving me some suggestions. So I'm going to say add open props CDN to the project and replace the CSS values to use open props values, right? So let's see what this gives us, right? So okay. All right, so here we go. So style.css, and there's a supply button here, right? So I could say, okay, I want to apply that thing, right? And then to complete the integration, here we go. So it's done with its thing. So let's just check this out, right? Import open props, and then you could see it's kind of gone through, and you could see the diff, right? So rather than kind of creating these hard-coded values, they're instead using the open props values. And come in here, hit Command return to accept all of this stuff. There we go. Okay, let's see what that gets us on the front end. Nice one. Well, that's helpful. Oh, did it bulldoze? What did it just do with that? Where did my index page go? What? Did it really just bulldoze that? Okay. Uh, and I want to say, uh, well, that's fun. This is where Git comes in handy. Let's see here. Don't save. Music requests. Wow, did it really just like nuke that? Index.html. Okay. All right. Well, that's always a good thing. Well, let's kind of carry this back over from Claude. That's really strange. This is where Git really kind of comes in handy. In our work, we've been sort of doing this stuff. Does Emmet work? Yeah. It doesn't. Okay. Yeah, let me see here. Can I do this again? Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Song request page. So that's a fun one. But I guess like what I wanted to show here. Let's like see if this is back. Okay, great. I need to link up my styles. Link, rel styles, script. Okay. Okay, we're back in business now. Jeez, man. So now what I should see if I sort of inspect this element here is button, and you can see that this background color is now using open props green 6, for instance, to sort of apply that, right? It's got the hover styles and all of that stuff. So quick weird detour. But what's really, really cool about this thing is that now I have this project, right? And like in just a couple minutes, right, I have a functioning prototype. We've iterated over that prototype a few different times, right? We have our sort of source files. We can kind of go in here. I could probably like ask it to, do some other things. I'm going to maybe say, apply a funky Google font to the page, right? And let's just kind of see how that interprets that. Bungee shade. Okay, I love it. So you can see it's sort of adding this to our index.html. We are giving it sort of, we're applying that to our thing. We could apply this thing, the diff. Man, I really don't know what happened with that. That whole, like, it just getting rid of the index page. That's pretty funny. But okay, so now we can sort of say it's making this recommendation. So now I want to set body to bungee shade. Okay, I'm going to apply this not to index.html, but instead, that's interesting. It says I don't want to apply it to that. I want to apply it to our style sheet, right? So let's see what that does. Oh, look at that. I asked for funky. It gave me funky, right? So this is the powerful thing, right? So it's like, okay, this is all well and good, right? Like now from here, I could iterate over the design. I could work with like more of like a visual designer to help sort of like sculpt this experience so it doesn't look totally bonkers. Applying bungee to everything maybe wasn't the right idea. So maybe I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to apply it to my H2s and H1 files. That feels a little bit better. Great. Okay. So that feels a little bit more sane, right? Funky stuff for the headings, normal fonts for the styles, right? So all to say, from here, it's just a matter of sort of like iterating and improving this thing. But what I'm also interested in, and well, how do I actually make this real? Like, how do I actually sort of like capture this and, make this a real experience? So I'll kind of like come back to my Claude window and say, this is great. How would I deploy this experience to Netlify in a way that does this? Emails me whenever with each submission, right? It captures the submission in a data object on Netlify, right? And captures the upvote counts on Netlify, right? So the idea, and I've actually never done this before. I know that these features exist, right? Like really, really lightweight things. Like I don't need like a whole like MySQL like database or whatever. I just kind of want to deploy this very kind of like flat, basic web experience to people. But I also want the form stuff to work, right? So let's just see what Claude says, right? So what I can do here, it says to deploy this experience to Netlify with the feature you requested, you need to make some changes. We use Netlify forms for form submissions. Okay, didn't know Netlify forms were a thing, but that makes a lot of sense. And then Netlify functions, which are serverless functions to handle the email notifications and data storage, right? Here's a step-by-step guide on how to do this, right? So there we go. So I'm not going to sort of like subject you to all of this and sort of crawling through like Netlify's back end. But the idea is that it's like can go from an idea in my head to hopefully being able to deploy this in pretty short order in really a couple of minutes. And that's like really, really, really powerful stuff. What's even cooler is that these same principles, these same ideas, obviously it works well whenever it's like, oh, you got like, no strong requirements, no strong like branding stuff, no strong like technical requirements. It's just like, here, make a thing out of the ether. Does a pretty dang good job with that. But one of the things that we've been seeing really, really great success with, and what a lot of the client work that we've been doing has been helping teams adopt these kind of workflows in a way that works with their existing tooling, their existing workflows, their existing cultures to sort of help, really sort of speed up the whole design process, right? Especially through the lens of creating design systems, but also wielding design systems. What I just went through here, right? These are just kind of raw HTML sort of HTML tags. But what we've been doing is working with our clients' organizations or clients' design systems to basically help create these kinds of experiences that are able to sort of build design system powered experiences using our clients' design systems and the APIs and their components and all of that stuff in order to make real functioning stuff. So what's cool about this is that unlike this or this thing, right, which is just kind of like, okay, here's this thing that's off to the side, when we're saying create me a home page with this hero and these touts that say this and drive to these pages, it actually does a pretty damn good job because it's using the design system's hero component. It's using the cards and the touts and stuff like that in the design system. So it's not just like here's an HTML prototype. It's like, here's kind of sort of some production ready front end code, right? That's needs some massaging, but gets you a lot further down the line, a lot faster, and also begs the question. And this is I'm maybe leave you with this kind of more sort of controversial statement. It's like, what is a static design tool like Figma? What's its role in something like this? Do we need to create Figma comps, or hell, 3 different versions of the same Figma comp? Here's the desktop and the tablet and the mobile size screen. Like, do we need to do all of that work for each and every new screen, each new sort of product idea? And when we're able to sort of integrate these kinds of tools into our workflow, and again, what we're sort of seeing really good success with, maybe you don't need to sort of do that traditional design process, right? Maybe that's the wrong application of design talent, of design skills and design tools, right? Maybe we can just sort of jump right into the browser, do that iteration work there, and also, why not? Like, let's actually make this kind of real. But to do all of this, I'm sort of giving this like abstracted example with this sort of demonstration here. But I do think that like what's really powerful is that when you kind of couple these workflows and these tools with an existing sound design system architecture that is sort of born of and works within an organization's walls. And it's that kind of combination of the available technology, the tooling, but also really sort of the update to the workflow, the cultural change that comes with this, right? Like, how does our workflows change as designers, as developers with these new tools? And that's what our team at Big Medium has been helping do, is helping teams explore this stuff, but really also get into the weeds with them and help them integrate it. And we've seen some really great success, and we're really excited about where this is going. This definitely feels like a pretty big paradigm change to how we've been doing things in the past. But the last thing I'll say before leaving you is that this notion of kind of getting into the actual medium for which you're designing is such a powerful concept, is such a powerful notion, and is something that I've long been, sort of fighting for and rallying for my entire career. So that the fact that we now have this more democratized, this more accessible way of getting into the browser faster is really, really exciting. And I look forward to sort of seeing where this stuff goes. So thanks for hanging out. If you've made it this far, I appreciate your continued patience. So take care. Bye.